and 1. For the purpose of this debate, we will shorten Mano Dura as LMD to make this debate more efficient. The purpose of this debate is to somehow try to minimize gang violence and organized crime, especially in areas with immensely high crime rates like Latin America. The question that both sides actually need to answer is what is actually the best way to do this. For example, by mass arresting people without any knowledge of their innocence or background, or detailed investigations and a clear understanding of organized crime. This debate is also about which side will be able to benefit from the act of minimizing crime activities in Latin America. By benefiting here, we actually mean that we'll arrest the right people, not mass. Innocent people might be involved because this will even be more devastating for their family members. Countries become more corrupted and poor. We'll focus on fixing true crime because the question is, how can proposition make sure that even if with mass arrests with the military involved, bad people will just show their true colors. Instead, more people will be killed and less will be fixed and punished. Instead of all, we'll try to improve the lives of residents because what they truly want is peace and quiet. They don't actually need more interruptions and arrests in their life as a whole. So at least on our side, what we can do is that we look at the practical picture, because it's crucial to note that solving violence by using more violence will not work in the long run. Sure, you might be able to arrest more people, but crime will still continue if you target the wrong group of people. Before we move on, we will point out a few flaws that proposition made throughout this entire debate. First of all, they just completely assume that people will be safe and that LMD will work. They also told you that gang violence will no longer happen and will all be arrested under LMD. And all they have debated throughout this entire debate is that they basically show you the benefits of reduced crime rates without actually showing you how LMD works in the first place and how this helps minimize crimes and how this saves people overall. They basically told you arguments about how people or how citizens will be safe or how citizens will be able to reopen their businesses because there'll be reduced crime rates. They just jump straight to the impact without telling you the mechanism or even prove to you how Mano Dura will actually work in the first place. So let's come to the main clashes in this debate. First of all, we believe here is on effectivity or effectiveness, right? Because how people on their side, we believe here, will no longer trust the police. Why is this? Because first of all, it basically sends the wrong message. Because the state, what they believe is basically using violence just like the gangs do. So people, they feel like they're being oppressed. They feel like they don't have a choice with continuous interruption from outsiders, especially the police. And when citizens, they don't trust the police, they will basically stop reporting crimes, they will no longer cooperate, and they feel like that their life is actually getting worse day by day. Well, proposition just stands there, assumes that this works instantly and improve people's lives. What have they said to us when it comes to this clash on effectiveness? First of all, they said that this will still ensure privacy for citizens. This gives citizens the right to safety. There will be physical removal of threat, harsher deterrence, and this help younger adolescents to not get involved. This sentence works so simple. It's not that simple as we just arrest criminals, and everyone will be safe. If this is actually the case, then crimes will end a long time ago, and people will be safe altogether. There'll no longer be any crimes if police just go on the street and arrest people whoever they want. However, proposition needs to understand the severity of this issue because LMD allows police or corporations to target a group of people and arrest them, regardless of their crime backgrounds, their families, or whether they have even been involved in these activities or not. The only purpose of this is the more I arrest, the more able I am to fix this problem. However, the impact is actually bigger than they thought because in order to stand speeches, especially second speaker, we have clearly proved to you how this will actually increase overcrowding when it comes to imprisonment, where gangs, they have the ability to recruit even more people. Instead of this, we simply believe that the police can save their time and effort by tracking real crime organizations because the proposition thinks this is impossible or takes a longer time. How are they supposed to improve the situation just by arresting people without trials? Solving something actually takes time and effort to do like efforts, actually takes time and effort to do with real investigations and tracking as well as trials. The reason why we need all of those processes is to prove real crime organizations so that they could hold accountable for their actions. Whereas on the other side, they just basically fail to make long-term commitments of investigation. Because sometimes urgency does not mean we can just be reckless and police can just go on the street using military, using force to arrest people. Because quick crackdowns, maybe they can be effective, but in reality, they only suppress people more, and this will allow like the root causes, for example, we have poverty, lack of opportunity, or corruption, to even grow worse and worse day by day. People, they feel like they no longer trust the government to solve the problem and even participate in even more harmful activities just so that they can survive. Worse, this LMD basically gives government the right to humiliate or to violate human rights because of this process. Because when you basically act in panic, you basically make short-term chaos even worse in the long term, right? And also of all, we'll come to our second clash on how on our side we also provide you an alternative right from the start of the speech, which is stricter investigation and informed education, like rehabilitation for people previously living in crime areas. Why does this alternative work and is more effective? First of all, when we want to solve a problem, police have to think about long-term effectiveness. Proposition actually never engaged with our material or like even our own alternative in the first place. Therefore, our alternative actually still stand in this debate, but will still be charitable and compare how our side are able to achieve and protect more people. First of all, when it comes to crime organizations, what we need is not to arrest more people. We don't need that. What we need, first of all, is by tracking these groups, their activities, what they are intending to do, and by stricter investigation. And we believe that if we enforce on this will be more advanced with like advanced technology from worldwide. And also we need more informed education, especially for the people who have previously lived in crime areas. Because the other side, they said that, oh, if like young kids, adolescents, they see that people are being arrested, they will learn from past mistakes, etc. This is not how it works. Instead, there'll be more fear and they will not know where to go because there are basically no guidance whatsoever. On our side, we actually give people guidance. We provide them with guidance by informed education or rehabilitation for people previously living in crime areas. On their side, they just basically said that, oh, they just like basically jump right to the conclusion on how this Mano Dura will basically prevent immigration and further economic collapse. They said this will reduce crime immensely and small businesses can have the potential to reopen. They basically jump straight to the conclusion that they imagine this perfect scenario where crime will no longer happen because police think of this great idea that, oh yeah, let's just arrest a bunch of them and put them in prison and no trials whatsoever, and this can instantly like improve the situation. However, this can actually go on to further economic collapse because of the way how this process works without any detailed planning and organization. On our side, not only does we prove to you how this will not work in the long run, how this will be even more violence, we also prove to you the alternative and how our side's alternative actually works better. Very proud to oppose.